All right, hey everyone, it's April the 3rd, the year 2017. A letter came in from Schuyler Barbeau today called An Appeal to Heaven. We're going to read it and get it out. This is his address. I pray that you take the time, write him a letter, send him something encouraging, a Bible verse, let him know that we haven't forgotten about him. And his mom read a update where he said he felt like a cattle that's on his way to the slaughter, and they've got him fenced in, and he can't turn to the left and he can't turn to the right, and he's just headed to slaughter, and he's going to take a miracle from God, and that's what we're praying for. His trial is coming up, I believe, June the 5th, and he needs an absolute miracle. And hope you guys also find the time to watch the videos that we put out regarding bump fire, slide fire, and the binary trigger, and how stupid it is that someone would be targeted for full auto, and also look at the difference in an AR pistol and also a short-barreled rifle. And you guys tell me if that's worth 10 years in prison. We have 186,000 legal firearms, legal fully automatic assault rifles in this country. And I think in the past 80-something years, 89 years, only 2 of them have ever been used in a crime. That's a pretty low percentage. But in any event, there's his address. Please write him a letter. This is Outpost of Freedom, Schuyler Barbeau page. Guess what? The guy who put together this website, he's in jail. He's in prison right now. I have no idea. I can't find him anywhere. His name's Gary Hunt. And so he was Schuyler's most outspoken advocate besides his mother. And now he's in jail because they said that he wouldn't take down a list of informants that he had obtained. So we're praying for Gary Hunt as well. Let me also go back to Schuyler's mom and just say what a blessing she is. That it's so rare to see family members, and I'm not saying anything against family members who decide to be quiet. That's certainly their option. But Stacy Barbeau is not quiet. She boldly supports her son. She loves her son, and she's very outspoken on social media about it. And so we just think that's so rare nowadays to see family members so outspoken for their family, right? And so we praise God for Stacy Barbeau, and it will bring tears to your eyes when you think about it, about what's going on with the Barbeau family. He spent 8 years as a military veteran in the Marines, supporting his country, fighting for the cause of freedom, and we don't need to turn our backs on him. He needs us now more than ever, and I believe that he's a strong, principled, well-educated warrior for the United States of America, and he needs a miracle. And I pray that people all over this country will rise up and support Schuyler Barbeau before his trial on June the 5th. But enough of me talking. Let's get to reading his letter. Okay, this is the letter that came in today. Schuyler Barbeau, FDC SeaTac, Federal Detention Center. You got my P.O. Box address. And here we go. An Appeal to Heaven. July the 4th, in the year of our Lord 2016, 240 years after our forefathers got together secretly in Philadelphia and signed a Declaration of Independence that also was effectively a death warrant. They exhibited the highest level of courage and bravery and integrity to commit such an act of treason against the government. I couldn't thank them enough today, and had I been in that room that day, I would have boldly signed my name on that paper. I'd sign today if we, the people, were to do it again. After today's reflection, I shall pray to my Lord and thank him for his hand in the events of that time, and the boldness of the patriots past and their sacrifices for freedom. I shall thank the Lord for giving me the same courage to stand for freedom and for these trials and tribulations, because he wants us to draw closer to him in our suffering. I have much time in this prison, more than out in the unyielding busy world, to study the Word. I've done a lot of exploration in the Old Testament. In there I have found some astounding stories. First I stumbled into Nehemiah and got to chapter 4 where Nehemiah was in defiance to his opposition while rebuilding the walls and gates around Jerusalem. The opposition plotted to attack Nehemiah and the workers, and it's just what Nehemiah said to the people in verse 14. Do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, great and awesome, and fight for your brethren, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your houses. Then they took up arms and would hold a sword in one hand and a tool in the other, and they split up so there were workers and guards. In chapter 5, Nehemiah deals with oppression of the lenders and creditors by going to them, the nobles and rulers, rebuking them. Verse 6 says, "And I became very angry when I heard their outcry and these things." I also became angry when I hear the outcry of my people at the hands of the government, but they don't listen to me when I rebuke them. All through the book of Nehemiah, he defied the oppressors and evil men, and cleaned out the sin and defilement out of Jerusalem. Nehemiah is my hero and example of integrity and leadership of a godly man. I also found it interesting how remarkably similar Nehemiah 4:14 is to a verse out of the book of Mormon. That verse is Alma 46:12, and it says, "Moroni tore his coat to make a flag. On it he wrote, 'In memory of our God, our religion, and our freedoms, and our peace, our wives, and our children.'" Verse 13, Moroni put the flag on a pole and called it the title of liberty. Then, holding it and dressed it in his armor, he knelt to pray. Both of these stories are inspiring to me. Second, in Daniel chapter 6, after King Darius pulled Daniel out of the lion's den, Daniel said to the king in verse 22, "My God sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth, so that they have not hurt me, because I was found innocent before him. And also, O king, I have done no wrong before you." It really stood out to me that Daniel did no harm to anyone, and therefore God was on his side. Even though the leaders and, the government wrote laws that prohibited a certain activity or conduct, doesn't mean the law is good and just. And when the king figured out that the governors, administrators, satraps, counselors, advisors had all tricked the king, he put them to their death in the lion's den. I wish I had a good and just earthly king looking out for me. This might be where the concept that rebellion to tyranny is obedience to God, that Benjamin Franklin said, comes from. In this case, with Daniel, evil men in the government conspired to pass laws to unjustly create criminals out of innocent people to serve an evil, selfish desire and agenda. You'll see this same tactic with the Pharisees in Matthew 22:15 and in Luke 20:20. They sought to catch Jesus in his own words. With Daniel, they sought to catch him breaking God's law. You know what? I'm not going to answer that because I'm in the middle of something. They sought to catch him breaking God's law, which is tied other law. And with Jesus, they sought to catch him breaking the law with tax evasion question. But Jesus knew the motives of their heart. Thirdly, I want to go to the story, also in the book of Daniel, of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. King Nebuchadnezzar made a big gold image to worship. He made a decree that once music was played, everyone would bow down and worship the image. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused. In chapter 3, verse 10, "You, O king, have made a decree, law, that everyone who hears the sound of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace." The three were cast into the furnace, but were not harmed. They obeyed God's law and were saved. At the time Jesus was around, there was the law of Moses, God's law, and there were over 600 laws. Prior to Jesus, few people of the world obeyed all of the law, including the 10 Commandments. Jesus fulfilled the law with his sinless life and then paid the price for all sin with his death and resurrection. There was a transition from the old law covenant to a new covenant, and giving the new commandments to love the Lord our God with all our hearts, soul, minds, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. Romans 13:10, "Love does no harm to a neighbor. Therefore love is the fulfillment of the law." Law must be based on morals, that is, right and wrong from a moral standpoint. When our lawmakers make law that has no moral grounds, then it serves no purpose other than some evil, selfish agenda. With the story of Daniel, the lawmakers didn't like him, so they created a law that specifically targeted Daniel, evil agenda, that they knew he would break. Therefore I shall not concern myself with such immoral lawlessness. I appeal to heaven. As long as I do no harm to my neighbor, I am fulfilling God's law, and that is what makes the difference in where I spend my eternity and receiving the Lord's blessings. The leaders and representatives of this America have become exceedingly immoral. We don't just need political reform, but also a moral reform. As far as where we're at today, where we're headed as an oppressed people, in the fight for freedom, laws must be broken, treason must be committed, rebellion and sedition must be carried out, because whoever the tyrant government is that's trying to rule a people, they have the laws against such acts of trying to live free. Any such power that would govern a free people by slowly taking away their freedom shall deserve a rebellion and treason. Lest we forget what John Locke said, whenever the legislators endeavor to take away and destroy the property and liberty of the people, or to reduce them to slavery under arbitrary power, they put themselves into a state of war with the people, who are thereupon absolved from any further obedience. Let's also not forget what Ayn Rand said in her book Atlas Shrugged. There's no way to rule innocent men. The only power any government has is the power to crack down on criminals. Well, when there aren't enough criminals, one makes them. One declares so many things to be a crime that it becomes impossible for men to live without breaking laws. Think about it. Think about that for a minute. Our legislators have been doing just that. Allegedly, I violated laws where there is no injured party or victim. How can there be a crime if there's no victim? One of the elements of a crime is the evil intent requirement. This is where the moral issue comes in. You have to do something evil and immoral to someone or something to have committed a crime. How is making your own gun evil and immoral? I'm in a free country where its founding documents declare that all men have liberty. There can be no law that prohibits conduct or activity that has no victim. Under some other country that has a king or dictator, they can declare whatever they want to be illegal. That is why America is awesome, because we have freedom, or we used to. As long as I abide by God's law, I won't ever hurt anybody, minus accidents, and that's all I care about. Do no harm. I appeal to heaven. Memoir number 2, Schuyler Barbeau. You know, Schuyler wrote, when his mom gave an update, that many have advised him just to plead guilty and try to get time served. You know, Schuyler said, he said, it goes against my principles. And if I have to take a 10-year prison sentence, then so be it. Can you imagine the courage and the fortitude and the constitution of Schuyler Barbeau? That people are advising him, just plead guilty, and maybe you'll get time served. And he's saying it goes against my principles. If I have to take a 10-year prison sentence, so be it. I can't even begin to imagine, just the courage and the constitution and the fortitude of Schuyler Barbeau. I pray that you guys reach out to him with a letter. I pray you guys give him an encouraging word. Tell your friends about him. Write to your congressman. And let's do what we can to support our brother in bonds. God bless every one of you.